Hello everybody, my name is Christian Aldo and welcome to the Plastic General. In today's episode, we're going to go back to the Pacific because I'm wearing my Pacific shirt, and we're going to check out the Japanese while they're defending their islands from an American invasion. So that means we're going to be checking out two figure sets, both made by Britain's Deetail. Sound exciting? Let's go to Pacific to go to war. Fire! Since I'm dressed for the Pacific, and I haven't cut my hair in 3 years because I've been stranded on a Pacific island, I figured that we might as well cover Britain's Deetail and their Pacific line. So I'll give you a little background about Britain's Deetail. They were a company that was around since the late 50s, and they came out with their Britain's Deetail line. They were plastic figures that were pre-painted, and they all had metal bases, and they had everything from cowboys and Indians to the French Foreign Legion, and of course they cover World War II, which is what we're going to cover today. So we're going to take a look at the U.S. Marines, which is a really extensively large set, and then the Japanese infantry set. And let's get into it now. Okay, I want to explain a few things to you about the Britain's Deetail line. The normal standard for the company was to come out with 6 poses plus a double pose for, like, let's say a piece of artillery. So that'd be 8 poses altogether. But for the Americans, what they did first is they released 6 figures first, and then they had a lot of plug-in arms, which tend to be more expensive to create. So what they did is they soon did away with that first series, and then they ushered in a newer series that was just one-piece figures. But this was the first issue. And by the way, they all normally would have had metal bases, but since the bases would fall off all the time, I just glued all my figures to standardized flat polystyrene bases. So, the first 2 figures in the set are kneeling sharpshooting rifle and standing sharpshooting rifle. If you're lucky enough to find any figures in this series, you'll find that some people have painted them over the last 40 years, 50, 45 years. So sometimes the helmets will vary. Poses 3 and 4. Firing a Thompson, it looks like a grease gun. And this one, the guy's running with a Garand, I think. This is a great example of the plug arms that they eventually eliminated. So this is these are 2 more figures from Series 1. That's pose 3 and 4. Poses 5 and 6, advancing with rifle up, and this guy seems to be in combat, hand-to-hand, getting ready to butt with his rifle. 2 kind of weird poses. These figures all would have been on a big square metal base. You have a recoilless gun, a metal recoilless gun with an operator, and then you have a commander pointing. So that's the set. This set was never reissued. Actually, none of the figures I ever showed you were ever reissued. And so this set tends to be a little bit more expensive, a little more difficult to find. But you can find them. They're out there. Okay, so Britain's Deetail... Okay, let's say. Yep. Okay, so Britain's Deetail eliminated those first 8 figures and then issued these instead because they were less expensive to produce. So you have standing sharpshooting rifle and firing a grease gun from waist. Poses 11 and 12, holding rifle, throwing grenade, and advancing with rifle. And poses 13 and 14, firing bazooka and stabbing downwards with bayonet on the end of a rifle. For some strange reason, these are painted differently. They issued them over many years, so maybe there was different paint available in the factories. I have no idea, but there's a lot of different small variants. Poses 15 and 16, these weren't exclusive. These two figures came with a small plastic like raft boat, and so they tend to be very rare or hard to find. You have a figure holding his rifle throwing grenade, and this figure, he's firing a Thompson machine gun, I believe, or a grease gun off of his knee. Pretty hard figures to find. Here's a special figure. This guy would have came on a motorcycle, but strangely, the motorcycle that he came on wasn't really a World War II motorcycle, and it broke apart very quickly anyway. So it was kind of a piece of junk anyway. So I'll just use him for something else at a later date. But in order to get him, you got to score him on the motorcycle. He's a dispatch rider. And for the next two poses, these guys came with the Britain's Deetail Jeep. You have the driver, and then you have this guy here. He's the gunner. And get in there. Obviously, he's been drinking. Let's get him in there. This guy here is like totally excited. Excited to kill like a Marine. And he's firing off from his Jeep. Another little piece here in order to get those two figures. This will run you about $100, but they pop up on eBay. And last but not least is an American wounded figure, and he would have been included with the Britain's Deetail helicopter for helicoptering wounded people away. But it matches the Britain's Deetail line perfectly, so you know it's part of the set. Now, what I would use this figure for, I should stop spinning him. That's what's making him sick in the first place. He's dizzy. He's sick. And then of course the Forces of Valor ambulance comes. Get in. Oh, who's in there? Oh, look at this. The sexy nurse. The nurse pops out and kicks the door open and throws him inside. Get in there. And she puts him in, and then she gets in there. And you drive away. So there you go. All 20 poses. It's your job to hunt them down. You can get them. They're out there, but you're going to have to look a little bit. And this includes this guy. I don't know how you're going to get him. You're going to have to either score one of those helicopters, or I bought mine. It was just loose, so I bought them in 2 seconds. So all 20 poses of U.S. Marines by Britain's Deetail, made in about 1972. And now for the Japanese infantry. I want to say right off the bat, this is one of the finest sculpted Japanese infantry ever made. We have standing sharpshooting and kneeling sharpshooting. Great figures, great proportions, just the sculpting's perfection. Poses 3 and 4. Stabbing downwards with bayonet and stabbing forwards with bayonet on rifles. Those Japanese love to stab. They're stabbers. Poses 5 and 6. Firing submachine gun and firing pistol with samurai sword overhead. Officer's sword overhead. Banzai! So here they are, all 8 episodes in all of their glory. They're there to be found on eBay. Get them! Some of the best Japanese ever made. Britain's Deetail, 1971, 72. Here we are with a TLV tracked landing vehicle by BMC. Now these are cheapies, man. You can get them for like $15. They're available everywhere, but they're fantastic. You can buy 2 or 3 in one shot. Now here are some figures to compare the size. There's a figure inside, and there is a figure in front. They're great because you can have people firing out of them. And yeah, you can have a whole bunch invading the beaches. You can paint them up nicely. You can, like I added on some canvas on the back of mine here. You can add on supplies. They're great. So if you want to expand your variety of tracked landing vehicles, you can get this kit by Trumpeter. And the difference with this one is it has a covered top with a turret. And if you look closely, you might recognize the turret. It's the same that would have been seen on the Stuart tank. It's got a few turreted rear gunners here in the back, and the figures fit inside there nicely. And of course, it's 1/35th scale, but there's hardly, it's very compatible. I'm a big believer in crossing the line. Now I'm going to show you some comparisons here. This is the landing craft from BMC. Now, a note about this one, technically this is not 1/32 scale, it's 1/30th scale. So it's a little bit bigger, and this is 1/35th scale, so it's a little bit smaller than 1/32. But you know what? It all works on the beach. It's not like you're making some massive scale difference. But they work. Shh, I'm all camoed up because I'm just a combat photographer. I'm here just to observe the beach landings. So, do you want to check them out? Let's go see. Shh, but be goddamn quiet. Wow, that was fun. One last note, you might be wondering where I'm getting all my plastic foliage from. You can get them for really cheap at dollar stores. And just, for 10, 15 bucks, you can have a massive jungle and tons of greenage. Anyway, I hope you liked this episode. And if you do, please remember to hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell that's right next to the subscribe button so we can send you all of our new episodes. And hit like, and if you have any questions, any requests, or if you caught me in any technical inaccuracies or any criticisms, or you hate me and you want to kill me and assassinate me, you can put that there in the comments. I love reading, and I always respond as much as possible. So, my name is Christian Aldo. I'm the Plastic General. Until next time.